I think it's going to go much, much higher, and people will just wake up to a new reality. And at that point, now you can just go, boom, just like Zelle. It's in your account. Thank you. Let's go. Can I have my car? It's expediency also, and it's, convenience. That's what they'll tell you. It's far more convenient. One last point. Sorry to interrupt you. There was a poll taken I read, and I read it with great disdain, that 60+% of Gen Zers say cash is cringe. No one takes cash. It's cringe, whatever the hell cringe means. But I'll tell you that we are moving.
In today's video, we're diving into one of the most urgent and eye-opening warnings from Andy Schectman, and it's one that could reshape everything you think you know about gold, silver, the dollar, and where the global financial system is heading. We're talking about interest rate distortion, false price discovery, mass insider selling, the silent rush into physical gold and silver, and a coming reality where people will wake up and wonder, how did gold and silver explode so fast, and why didn't I prepare? Andy breaks down why he believes precious metals are about to move much, much higher, why Gen Z calling cash cringe actually reveals a much bigger shift, and how governments are slowly steering us into a digital surveillance state, whether we notice it or not. If you're holding gold, silver, or still waiting on the sidelines, this is the breakdown you can't afford to miss.
I mean, you mentioned a deflationary spiral, but in other words, what about inflation you're talking about? You measure any asset you can think of in terms of ounces of gold over the last 50 years, and prices are falling against gold, against the real measuring stick. Against the dollar, they're going the other direction, and it's that the dollar is falling too. And so it's a situation where you're right. Anytime you suppress interest rates, I think that's the issue that got the whole world into problems. You suppress interest rates, and that creates distortions and all of the asset prices that have never been allowed to find real price discovery. And it tells me that the assets that have been pushed higher, when real price discovery comes into picture in an environment of higher interest rates, it will be a religious experience for a lot of people. And at the same time, those assets that have been held down, conversely, like precious metals, it'll move in the other direction exponentially when they are free, not only from manipulation, as we're seeing the problems on COMEX and the LBMA. You manipulate prices for too long, the physical demand will put you out of business. It will bankrupt you. And I think the big money understands that. And on the other side, maybe this is why you see Buffett in $400 billion in cash, and why you see all the insiders selling every single week, $2 billion a week for the last, I don't know how long, and Bezos and Zuckerberg and all of these people selling. Maybe that's why, because they know what's coming. When price discovery really truly is allowed to manifest itself in a world where money isn't free anymore, and the ramifications of it start to profoundly expand. Very quickly, I think not only will you see those assets that are ridiculously priced start to deflate, but you will also see those that have been suppressed move much higher, as there are very few safe places left yet to go. And maybe that's why we're seeing these massive deliveries. The people at that level of wealth and sophistication don't do it just for the hell of it. They know what's coming. They're 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody. That's why I would say do what they say, don't do what, or do what they do rather, don't do what they are saying. But it takes so much effort to figure that out, that if you're not researching the way you and I do every day, you won't even see it. And it will just be one of these things you'll wake up one morning and say, my God, can you believe how high gold and silver have gotten? In fact, I got one today. I got a text from my buddy, Steve. I call him Flip. And he says to me, I just saw the silver prices today. Wow. How high do you think it's going to go? I should have bought when you told me to at 22. Well, that's exactly what you're going to see happen. I think it's going to go much, much higher, and people will just wake up to a new reality. And at that point, the big money will have already been long since positioned.
Andy begins by warning that the moment is coming when gold and silver will go much higher, and people will simply wake up to a new reality. One day, you'll check your phone, your account updates instantly. Boom, it's in your wallet, and the whole world shifts toward digital convenience in the blink of an eye. He mentions a recent poll where 60% plus of Gen Z says cash is cringe. Whether cringe means anything or not, the message is clear. Cash is socially dying. And that's not an accident. It's a direction we're being pushed into. Andy moves into the heart of the problem. For 50 years, if you measure any asset in ounces of gold, its price has actually been falling, not rising. Against the dollar? Sure, things look inflated. But against gold, the real measuring stick, asset prices are down.
Why?
Because interest rates have been suppressed for decades, and that suppression created massive distortions. Prices weren't allowed to find their true value. Assets ballooned artificially, from stocks to real estate, while gold and silver remained suppressed. But here's the quote that matters. When real price discovery finally returns, it will be a religious experience for a lot of people.
Why?
Because the assets pumped artificially high will crash, and the assets artificially suppressed, precious metals, will explode. And the manipulation on COMEX and the LBMA? According to Andy, manipulate prices for too long, and the physical demand will bankrupt you. Andy points to a series of major signals. Warren Buffett sitting on $400 billion in cash, insiders selling $2 billion every week, Bezos, Zuckerberg, and top executives unloading shares, massive physical deliveries of gold and silver. He says the wealthy aren't doing this for fun. They know what's coming. They're 2 or 3 steps ahead. By the time the public realizes what happened, the big money will already be positioned, long before the boom. Here counts a message from his friend who just noticed silver's huge move and said he should have bought at $22. Andy says this is exactly what millions will experience. They'll wake up shocked, confused, and late. Andy explains a movement happening in places like Texas. People can deposit American-made gold coins into a state depository and, in return, receive a digital payment system, a card or phone app, tied to the value of their gold. This isn't hypothetical, it's already being designed and tested.
Why?
Because the dollar, according to Andy, has fallen much more than official indexes admit. Down 100% against silver this year, down 70% plus against gold. Dollar index says 7 to 8% decline, but against hard money, it's much worse. This means people will preserve purchasing power in metals while still transacting digitally, bypassing a decaying dollar. Andy references Italy's new rules. Declare your undeclared gold now, or face consequences later.
Why?
Because governments act desperately when systems break down. He warns, you prepare the best you can. Hope for the best, but be ready for it not to go that way. And when he looks at the United States potentially taxing or seizing metals, if that ever happened, the US loses all credibility. Andy is blunt. We're being pushed into a digital control environment step by step. First, digital ID for voting integrity. Then, digitized money, not directly CBDC but run by trusted third-party entities. But it's the same outcome. We're the frog in the pot. The water is lukewarm, and the heat is turning up slowly. His message is simple. Stay legal. Stay prepared. Stay outside the surveillance net as much as you reasonably can. Most people won't even notice. They wouldn't recognize a gold coin if it dropped on their toe.
Same way that, well, similar. In Texas, they're kind of leading the charge on this. The idea is you take your American-made coins, you deliver them to a state-run depository. I don't know if it'll be the Texas Bullion Depository or someone different, but in essence, they will give you like a credit card or an app on your phone that you can then make purchases using it in a digital framework. I think the idea of going to a shopkeeper with a gold eagle is probably not going to happen, but using those coins, which most of the laws specifically say American-made, not all of them, but a lot of them do, held in a vault that you can then keep your purchasing power safe from the continued fall of the dollar in terms of its valuation, down 100% against silver this year, pretty damn well near it after today's run, and 70 plus on gold. Forget about the dollar index that says it's only down 7 or 8%. It's down 15 times that just about in terms of silver, and 12, 13 times in gold. And so you end up with a situation where you can use money, but it is done in a digital ecosystem, would be my guess. And maybe it's something like we saw recently in Italy where, desperate governments do desperate things. They're saying, tax now or later, any gold, jewelry or coins or bars that people have not declared in terms of, or there's, that no one knows about it, you can tell the Italian government now and pay your taxes now. Who knows what they do? Desperate governments do desperate things. I just think that you have to prepare the best you can, hope for the best, and be prepared for it not to work out that way. And what other choice do we have? I'd rather have options when others have none. But yeah, it is something certainly worth considering. And at that point, the United States loses all credibility as far as I'm concerned, if that ever happened. But look, they are forcing us into this digital surveillance state. Starts with the digital ID. Well, Trump already said that's what he wants, or passed that law for voting integrity, right? What is it? And again, I always butcher these, but Ben Franklin said something to the extent when you give up a freedom in the name of safety, you never get it back, right? Well, that's the freedom we're giving up because of the election integrity. You have to have a digital ID. That's the foray into the surveillance state. The next is the money. No, it's not a central bank digital currency. It's run by third-party entities. Oh, well, then we're safe, right? And you can see how we are quietly dropping the frog into the pot of lukewarm water and slowly turning up the heat. What it appears to me is that is where we are going, and you do the best you can to stay out of it. And everything that you're doing is legal. You got that on your side, and you hope for the best. It's a very small percentage of people that will have that ability. Maybe it's not worth it to rattle the bushes because most people wouldn't know a gold coin if it fell on their big toe.
So there you have it. Andy Schectman's unfiltered breakdown of where gold, silver, and the global financial system are heading. If he's right, the coming shift won't be gradual. It'll be sudden, violent, and world-changing, and only the people who prepared early will benefit. The insiders are preparing. The wealthy are preparing. The data is screaming. And the window is closing. If you're serious about protecting your wealth from a falling dollar, rising surveillance, and a broken financial system, then now is the time to understand exactly what comes next. If you gained value from this breakdown, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and drop a comment below. Do you agree with Andy? Is a major collapse coming in 2026? And are you still bullish on gold and silver? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we dig even deeper into the financial shift happening right now.